Yeah. Okay. I've been feeling into what you might need on this call. And I think I also have to be letting people in. Hello, hello. Patricia, my new girl crush. um, big love, big shout out to you. Yeah, I just love you, Patricia. And so I've got some people on YouTube. I'm not really sure how to see the comments, like I was saying, just backtracking here to do some housekeeping. But ultimately, I really want to be with the questions that come through the Zoom chat. So ultimately, my goal is to have more people register for the Zoom call than to watch it live on YouTube. But honestly, however it works for you, do it. We will figure out a way to get to your questions if you are not on Zoom. Okay, so trust that we will get all around to it. I'm here for you. We're doing this together. So again, I'm live streaming on YouTube where I also have a channel. So if you are new to me, you can catch some of those and watch whatever serves. Ultimately, we are talking all about how to have it all as a mother and an entrepreneur. So welcome to the masterclass. My guess is most of you will be mothers and or entrepreneurs, or you want to be, right? You're aspiring in that direction. And so you are in the right place. I won't beat around the bush. This isn't like a masterclass. We're already not starting off like a typical masterclass because I really just want to connect with you. This is unlike any masterclass you probably will ever attend, because we need different. We need something different. We don't need more of that. So today we're talking clarity, balance, and structure in that order. And if you have questions, please pop them in the chat, and then I will make sure that you leave with an answer on this call. Okay, sound good? I also want to make sure, and this is part of kind of my wish for you on this call, I want to make sure that you walk away with the single most important action you need to take right now in your business. Basically, what your business needs from you right now, I want you to walk away from that with that. And that's called the MIT, the most important thing. And you can tune out all the rest because you know this thing today, right? And you can just repeat the process. It's duplicatable. We are going to at least walk away with that. That's my goal. That's my mission, because ultimately I want to help everyone do that. And so we start small with whoever's on this call, and then we go out from there. And I don't know about you. My experience with entrepreneurship is that it will test your every resolve, have you questioning your resilience, your every move, and maybe have you doubting why you started the business in the first place. In my 12 years of experience as an entrepreneur, I can say that with certainty for me and my clients those are some of the hurdles you come up against, right? And have to move through. And you know what? Motherhood is exactly the same. Tests you, has you second guessing yourself, questioning your every move, really challenging. It's challenging. The most challenging thing I've ever done. It has worked me to my bone, the core of me being a mother and facing maybe some of the challenges that come with raising another human being when all you want for them is the best, right? That's the goal. And I knew immediately, and I'm sure moms across the board know immediately, once that baby is born, your whole life changes. And that is your priority. You're staring at your priority, your number one priority in life. And it's just because it's just biological. It's inherent. It is what it is. And your body just can't deny it. Now, can we resist it and act in ways that are not exactly in line with that priority? Absolutely. And we do. We do all the time. And so here we're kind of trying to come back into the clarity of knowing that, hey, my instincts are here for a reason. I can trust myself and I can move through both entrepreneurship and motherhood with those instincts that I've cultivated, right? Curated all these years as a person, as a human living a life. So and I could say that about motherhood just being so challenging. And I've only been doing it for 6 years. So my oldest is 6, just a new 6. And I'm a mom of 2 boys. So if you've got any kids, throw that in the chat. I'd love to. Um, see if you're a mom like me, and if you want to be, like, where you are in the journey of all that. I'd love to hear. Ultimately, what I mean to say is that we have these two babies, right? And business is very much like a baby. So you've got these two babies that demand such an extreme amount of you, mental, emotional, physical, financial, right? They pull out from you really your greatness. And imagine rising up to that challenge every single time, and with certainty, with clarity, with gratitude, right? Imagine my journey through motherhood all this time, and just, I mean, starting out, it was blissful. I had a new baby, my firstborn, and it was this incredible life altering event in every way, shape, or form. And despite 15 days of just heartbreak and heartache, with him in the NICU because he was born early, I think it was a beautiful, beautiful time. I got to connect and bond and witness this personality. It was challenging because he didn't have colic, but I would have wondered many, many nights if he did. But it was just me learning the ropes, right? And coming to terms with maybe a very real commitment that I had in this life that I couldn't walk away from, that was uh, an adversity to my own being, my own calm, cool, collected self, chill, everything's all good, go with the flow. And then, this baby is really not going with my flow. And anyway, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time. And my business just rolled right along with it, right? My clients loved it. Baby was on my hip. I was nursing in quite a few Zoom calls back then. And COVID baby. So that was an easy transition. Nobody minded that at all. But it was doable. And then I got pregnant again. And we hired a nanny. I got help, and life continued to be, amazing. We were just, moving along. And then my second was born, and I got hit with the most debilitating postpartum depression, imaginable. You can't get out of bed. You don't know why you're even here. You question yourselves, and it's not just me. I will say this, the better part of last year, I dove in deep into a study about mothers and what we go through, the mental load, ultimately to find out, what are we all grappling with? What are we challenged with as mothers, as entrepreneurs? That was the criteria. And I walked away with some deep, deep, profound insight. I guess chief most among those is that we are not alone. And postpartum depression has you questioning your existence, and I guess really braving the thoughts of, is this baby better off without me? And and that's depressing. It's depressing. And I'm sure, for sure, depleted and nursing. I started nursing, or I was nursing still my first son, and the doctor was saying, "Oh, you're too nutrient deficient to continue nursing. Plus, it's just not good. We don't want another premature baby delivery." And so so I had to stop nursing. And so there was a lot of guilt there. I mean, just everything compounded. And I was even questioning where my business fit in all of this. And did it make sense? My husband at the time asked me, do you just want to not do business and just be a stay-at-home mom and ditch all that stress, as if that was the only stress or the real stress, right? I guess to the ill-informed eye, that would have appeared such, but it wasn't that. And I mean, there's no doubt about, I'm doing what I am born to do in this work. I love every minute of it. I love every second of deep diving with my clients, and also myself, right, in this journey as I create curriculum and help pull my fellow mompreneur kind of out of the darkness and into the light. So I love what I do. And so immediately the question was like, no, I'm an entrepreneur. I love my business. And so there's no hesitation there that I was still efforting toward the things that I wanted my life to consist of. Great. I wanted to enjoy motherhood because I wasn't. I was pretty miserable. I'd cry at the drop of a dime, but on things that felt miserable, not just like, oh, it's so emotional and beautiful. And I cried that too, but it's just this inexplainable sadness. And yeah, and you're not alone if you're feeling that. And at the same time, there's all these creative juices that are born from this time of postpartum that you're like, whoa, I want to do whatever it takes to protect and provide for this child. I want to set them up for success. I want to be present for every time they need me, every joy, every laughter, every step. I want to be present and available to what they need from me as their mom. And so I did a deep dive into reading about postpartum and motherhood and kids and development and what they need, in terms of discipline, in terms of sleep, in terms of nutrition. I mean, if there was a book on it, I was reading it or I was listening to it. I'm committed. I definitely am a researcher, but I would say things got interesting after my second born. And besides just feeling completely miserable and considering killing myself, not to make light of that. But yeah, there was also this unequal distribution of labor. So all of my priorities that I wanted my dream life to consist of, my marriage was one of them, right? Being a good mom, being a good entrepreneur, being a good mentor, a business mentor to moms, and a mindset mentor ultimately. And those are like the priorities that just kept on in my head. And I would find myself drowning in all of it, all of the roles and responsibilities. For sure, drowning is an accurate word. And we'd let my nanny go because I wanted to spend time with my second born son. And his name's Ro, his middle name. And he just, I wanted to bond and connect with him like I had time with my first. And so it was time that we put my oldest in preschool. And things were still light, without the nanny. I had to do the laundry again. I had to cook and clean again. I didn't have that help. So, immediately you start to feel like, ooh, okay. But, I still wanted to do it alone. I wanted to establish my own flow. But along with that, my oldest in school, preschool, there were school closures and sick days, a lot of them that you had to contend with. So as you start to try to kind of tread in this new path for yourself and with new baby, and just bond, uh, you have, the other stuff to also deal with. And then the guilt on top of that for leaving the oldest without as much of his mommy as he had before. Stuff just was hitting me, right? And we worked on it all. We worked on it all. I found myself in support groups for either thing, be it the NICU. I had a support group there, just general mom group, my friend group, who we're all moms, funny enough. My close group is our moms, but then I also have a non-mom friend group that is very close, and they provide kind of support in different ways, and it all necessary, all necessary. Anyway, as my toddlers got older, things did get really hard, right? In my marriage, in my business, in my family. My dad passed away during all this, and in my body. 40 and postpartum. I mean, you do the math, okay? Yeah, and I'm not alone, right? But anyway, out from study that I did last year, and we just finding all the commonalities was one, not only healing, but empowering for me to continue to follow in this research, right? What comes about from this research to keep going that path. I would say that I found myself diving into the world of time management because I would say 90%, 99% of the moms I interviewed, surveyed, researched, studied, polled, they were saying time management, as if time management, if they managed their time, better, then they would feel like a better mom and entrepreneur. And this is where my work comes in, because immediately, I saw the, I don't want to say uh, the problem, but I saw, hmm, what's the word that I want to use? I saw the missing piece. I guess I saw what was behind it all. Okay. And that is what I love to do. I want to find what's underneath it all so that we get to our truth. And that, right, time management, apart from mom guilt, was the self-proclaimed problem that came from most of the moms. Okay. And so this is where we kind of can begin the rest of this masterclass, because time management, I mean, what is time but a mental construct? We know that, right? We know that as a collective of bodies on this planet, we've decided that this was the best way to organize ourselves in days and months and years, right? In minutes. And just to come on to some type of common ground as to, okay, this is a sign of progression. This is what it looks like to do things quickly, or these are the rewards you get if you move quickly, all the time forgetting that nature doesn't rush. It doesn't need to go fast. It just goes, right? And in fact, nature is very slow. Nature is very slow. I love a slow moment sitting by a tree. I love to be reminded by my kids, especially, to slow down. And we're just all natural beings going with the flow of life and the cycles that come, and how we get to find the opportunities to flow with those cycles. And then what expansion comes from allowing ourselves to give into, to surrender to those cycles. But right, it takes clarity on those cycles for you, because I think they're all different. And as you dig deeper into kind of this common problem. So we're just going to use the word problem because just for ease, it's just easier to throw that out there. But as moms, we want really smooth, uncomplicated calendars. We want healthy, happy kids. We want a tidy home life, right? We know what we know what we want to see. And so time management feels like, okay, this is how I'm gonna get there. And then when you look deeper, we realize that the common sentiment actually is we just don't want to fail. We don't want to fail at being mothers. We want to do the best that we can to give these new souls the best chance at life. Like I said before. That is not solved with a planner. And at some point, we thought it would be. And I think, we're not going to go down the road of media and propaganda and marketing, because how much of what we believe is marketing? Okay, just throwing that out there. um, but born from all of the confusion and the chaos of trying to organize ourselves in this linear way called a clock and a calendar, we've forgotten the natural sense of ourselves, right? The natural sensibilities of what makes this life so rich and robust and rewarding. Because what's more real than time? We can do an exercise in our bodies right now. In fact, feel into it. What's more real than time? Um, your inner peace, right? Your gut instincts, your maternal instincts, your bandwidth, um, this kind of mindfulness, right? Kind of knowing where you are in life, your place in the world, you being mindful to that, right? These are almost more palpable than time, right? And what is all that but a thought, a belief, right? And so when we think about what we're here on this masterclass for, clarity, balance, structure, we kind of rewind back to, okay, well, let's get to the base root of things. Um, let's come up with a more appropriate solution for where we are in life. And this is where my mastermind was born. Okay. So my mastermind for entrepreneur moms was born from this curiosity that I have, that can we do business differently as moms so that it wasn't so grueling, so that we can feel present in both roles as mother and entrepreneur and not feel like a failure at one. So many times I heard moms say, I feel like when I'm succeeding at being an entrepreneur, I'm failing at being a mom, and vice versa, right? I spent so much time with my kids today. I feel so great that we've connected and bonded and I was present for it all. And I have like these core memories that are going to last for a lifetime, and they do too. And like just really rich satisfaction with your motherhood journey that day. And then at night, you're like, oh, all the guilt from not being present in your business, right? And how much of that can we do, just kind of living in that survival mode where it's like, okay, you're letting these really low vibe energies of guilt, shame, isolation, um, toggle your mood and therefore your direction in any moment, because you're letting those emotions be what dictate your experience. When in reality, in order to do business differently, we just have to rethink business. We just have to think differently about business. Yeah, not the Apple nod for sure. We can definitely take a nod. Give homage to Apple for coming up with that idea of, when they invented the Mac, to think differently, because it was a totally different concept to compute the way Apple wanted to allow us to compute. And then from there, wow, right? AI, where are we at? What are we doing? What is happening? It's all really beautiful though. And we could choose to see it as beautiful, or we could see it as toxic. We could see it as an opportunity, or we can see it as our demise. I mean, your choice. And at any time we can think business into the freedom that we started it for. I mean, don't you want the freedom to live your best life and not have something that you created, another job for yourself, be what tears you down and continues to tear you down? I mean, we wouldn't want that as in our motherhood, right? We wouldn't hang out with the mom group that made us feel like awful mothers all the time. We're definitely going to want the mom group that brings us out of our hole, and gives us some encouragement that, okay, I didn't handle that completely wrong, and I can repair, I can connect again, and make amends, right? This is the mom guilt coming out of me, because I've turned to my mom groups for support and getting well, and one, just getting advice, like, what am I doing here? What is this rash? Anybody see this before? But also, I cannot shake the image of doing what I did today, or screaming like I did today at my kids, because I was completely burnt and fried, and I wanted them to stop doing what they were doing, because it was impossible for me to breathe enough to calm myself and approach them differently. See what all has to happen? See how the state change needed to have happened for you not to have raised your tone? Yeah, tempers can creep, and then it's got you questioning, like, oh, I saw that way too much in my childhood. I saw examples of this type of parenting that I do not want to do way too much in my childhood. And so we get to reparent ourselves. So in a way, it's kind of like with business, right? We get to reparent our idea of what businesses has to look like, or has to feel like. And it before, because of the media, because of TV and TV shows and things like that, we see this masculine representation of business. I mean, really, really, mahogany desk, conference room, everybody around the table, and white hair, white face, wrinkles. We're seeing kind of that be portrayed, and they run Wall Street. Okay, if you're not one of them, like, you don't even understand what a stock ticker is. Like, you are out of the loop. It's the big boys club. And that, it's politics too. It's very systemic, right? In the way that we just portray how it looked. And what's funny is, back in the day, they wore the white haired wigs for that kind of, to bump them up in status and prestige. They wore it. It was this Victorian thing. Obviously, that when you think of kings and queens and things like that, it's very Victorian. Even our references, it still kind of harks back to those days. And that's having the white hair and pulled back was a very Victorian thing, and it showed this level of um, eliteness and status. And uh, anyway, so it just now is in court, in boardrooms, right? That same depiction on a very westernized sense of the word. Or should I just go ahead and say it, Americanized sense of the word, in my personal opinion. And that's kind of the business side of things. That's what we've seen, and it's very masculine. It's very results driven, very, very beautiful. We need that too. But then nowhere do you see, a woman being represented in that state of affairs, and offering her opinion and her view of things, and how it might affect the family at home, that you're sending, you're sending factory workers to do this type of work, for this amount of time, because ultimately it just serves your bottom line. See how all of that, the family life, the home life, was disregarded through and through in those boardrooms. I mean, it did not matter. And now you see kind of the rise of the feminine in an effort to balance the scales, not to completely eradicate the masculinity that we need. We need the yin and the yang. We need both. And that's where the balance comes in. Because we as mothers, we're so dominated by the feminine in this masculine, very patriarchal world, that it's jarring to the senses. Like, whoa, I can't exist as a mother, as just a mother, and have any significance in this day and age. Like, I would need to come with it um, to make a stand, to make a mark, right? To live out my meaning in this world. And so then you wrestle with those ideas, right? This idea of making a home and running a business. And we do often, when we make a home, we start to run the household. And so it turns out, like, in order to make it all work, we need things to be predictable and on time. There is no flow. It just needs rigidity and structure. And I want to challenge that, because it's challenging that has served me very well in my relationships with my kids, and my ability to be both present as a mother and profitable in business. It's served me to find that balance, and to really always daily find my clarity, right, on the most important thing, asking questions like, is this where I'm needed most? And oftentimes my motherhood journey with my littles still at home with me, I'm homeschooling one of my sons. The answer is yes. With this child right now is where you need to be. And so it's just finding out, where else can all the other pursuits, right? All the other pursuits that really fulfill me and allow me to creatively express myself, and come back into me, who I am, and the desires of my heart, apart from, what's happening inside the home. I also have pursuits outside the home. And so how do we kind of balance that? And then all the while, Wow. Okay. I have just been talking about myself and my kids. Where's my husband in the mix, right? And so he's feeling last on the list. And he is. He is, right? How do we begin to reconcile all the things that are happening on a daily basis without first you know, setting setting course for our priorities. So obviously you wake up because the kids are up and you're going, you're moving, you got to get breakfast ready. And then you yourself have to get ready. You yourself have to prepare for the day, mentally, emotionally, physically show up as who you're going to be that day. If you don't deliberately make the decision, then life will just continue to make it for you and you will feel like a doormat by 9 p.m. every night. And so you've got those two things that take a lot of bandwidth, a lot of your energy, a lot of your time. And then, your partner, where do they come in? How does it not only feel like you're communicating only about the kids with each other or only about work or only about the gripes and grievances you had at work today? How does it start to feel desirable to have a conversation other than those things? Because we as mothers want to take care of business, and our business primarily became our kids when they were born, and then everything else, right, starts to fall in line from there. Now imagine the space to make all of this feel very balanced, to feel very at peace with how you're showing up in all those areas, and ultimately manifesting the life of your dreams, one where your dream business leaves you time to live your dream life. I mean, because I don't know about you, I didn't start my business to spend less time with my kids. I knew that I was an entrepreneur first, but this pivot that I made after kids, which was a requirement because I needed to restructure, reorganize, and retool my business after kids. So there was a time when the business just went way to the ground, right? And then I picked it back up with this kind of intentional pivot. I needed to do that. So it felt brand new. I like to joke and say my kids destroyed my business. But not really. There's still the through line. There's still the philosophy that supported my work all the way through, still to this day. And that how I serve my clients in the frameworks that I present. Anyway, so that's all the through line, but it did feel like, I'm not going to continue this business to spend less time with my kids. Right. And so I don't think we start businesses when we feel the push to protect and provide for our kids. We don't start businesses to spend less time with them. We do it because we want to spend more time with them. We start businesses because we want the freedom to go wherever and whenever we want with our kids, right? We want to go to Disneyland. We want to go to other happiest places on earth that, we want to travel. We want to give them the opportunities that will bolster their childhood, make it that much more foundational. We want them to sit with the reading tutor or sit with the speech therapist if that's what they need. We want to put them in soccer and taekwondo and buy all the uniforms and not even bat an eyelash, right? We want that level of freedom to provide them the opportunities that we want for them. And then all the while, all the organic food, we want it all, right? And so there, the tally starts measuring up. And so we want that financial independence. Otherwise, it feels like, we are just kind of hostage in someone else's finances and their checkbook, right? If you are a stay-at-home mom, you probably feel the urge to come into your own wealth, your own sense of wealth, so that you can do what you want without asking for the money. I think that's really a big draw too for a lot of my clients. But ultimately, we as mothers, and what I found from the survey and everything, and just beyond just my experiences as a mom right now, that we can benefit from a place that has our back as both mom and entrepreneur. Because it's one thing to kind of be able to vent and express ourselves, our vulnerabilities in the safety of other moms who get it, but then also like our the safety of how it might be affecting our businesses and vice versa, right? What's the interplay there? If you are just showing up as one because you think that this crowd wouldn't understand the other aspects of your life, the other part of you, or the other burdens you bear as mother, partner, entrepreneur, then you are going to still feel um, fragmented, torn into a little bit, right? It's kind of the environment that supports you in all of those is really what I found would be valuable, and continue to find to be valuable, because as of starting the mastermind for entrepreneur moms last year, I'm getting the feedback and the I would say that one thing that my clients would say is it does feel a little bit like life coaching. I'm not a life coach, but there is this 360-degree clarity that you need for your life. And if you're trying to level up in just one area of your life, like I'm going to level up and be and have financial independence, uh, if you're not looking at the costs because you're just really focused on the one thing instead of all priorities, kind of at this equal playing field and what that would ask of you, what that demands of you, then you're lacking the structure that really rises all tide, or the tide rises all ships, or whatever. You're really kind of you're fragmented. I know there's a better word for that. What disjointed? You're just and so constantly. I like to throw this analogy out. We're constantly at a fork in the road. I would say every minute of every day, we're at a fork in the road where we can choose one or the other, right? The direction of A or B. And you can fill in the blank. It could be uh, paying this bill or not. It could be going to my child's recital or not. It could be scheduling ourselves for this call or not, right? Putting this on the calendar, hiring this person or not. There's always kind of okay, it's either or here. And it sometimes feels like the fork in the road is motherhood or business because of the lack of structure that we put in place to account for both. And you as a human being, and you as a partner, right, who wants companionship and love in her life, right? You want those things. And so what does have to give there? And the fork of the road isn't choosing either or. It's kind of, how can I collect myself, all that matters to me, and move forward in that direction, right? It's not only kind of leaving something behind, because I think it does feel that way sometimes. Success, right? The fear of success sometimes is aroused because we don't want to leave our families behind. We don't want to leave the people that we love behind, either emotionally or geographically, whatever it is. And so we don't want to like lose anything. So we think we have to kind of just carry it all, carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. I'm here to help lighten that load, right? I want to lighten the mental load ultimately, because like I said, with business, it's how we think about business, right? And so we do get to rethink business in order to redo business. And nowadays, it really is becoming rethinking motherhood and what we want it to look like, how we want it to feel, despite all of what everyone else is saying and all the chatter on and offline about how you should be a mother, what motherhood, when done correctly, should look, right? And it and until we go in and kind of think this up for ourselves, then we're going to continue to have behavior that reflects this external need for validation, right? I need somebody to praise me. I need somebody to give into or give me the lift up, because I'm too depleted. I'm too emotionally spent. I'm too mentally fried to do it myself. And that is because you're maintaining this momentum that you rode into motherhood with. The momentum of the single you, the no offspring having you, right? You're kind of riding into the station at full speed, not recognizing, hey, here's a state change. And so I will be the first to admit that I went through a crazy identity crisis, like crazy amount of second guessing who I was and what am I even doing? Like, who am I to do this? Like, me, really? And completely disregarding all the success I had before just because I was now a mother. Like, is all that in question now just because I'm a mom now and just because things get to look different now because I'm calling into my life something new, right? New experiences, new priorities. And so therefore I need new structure in order to kind of strike a new balance according to my new priorities, right? My revised priorities, because at any moment, honestly, in motherhood, especially, your priorities will change. I mean, at any moment, it could feel like, I think the overarching is there, right? Kids being the first one. And I mean, if you disagree, please let me know in the comments. Let me know, because I think sometimes maybe there are moms who don't feel like the kids are their priority. And let's talk. Let's talk. But anyway, I would say that if any of this, resonated, I would love to hear from you, your feedback on, your take on motherhood and entrepreneurship and the journey, the yin and yang of it, and what this journey is calling out of you. And if you've got kids that are well into their 20s and beyond, what did it look like for you? And I can tell you this, just because you're a mom in the 2020s doesn't mean you aren't faced with the same level of challenges and inconveniences and unpredictability that the mom in the 70s was, the 60s even. I mean, the 50s, the 20s, right? I mean, the motherhood journey is still just, it's always right going to be wrought with these opportunities to discover yourself and continue to, just like business. And so I'd love if you just let me know what resonated for you on this call. And if you have any questions, let me know. We could start to wrap it up. I do want to just leave you with something. When it comes to your most important, let me check YouTube really fast. Does YouTube have anything? I don't see. Okay, they're a little bit delayed. YouTube is. Let me pull back my notes. When it comes to MIT, so I did want you to walk away. That's something that's important to me. When it comes to your most important action you need to take, if you're a mother or not, right? If you're aspiring in that direction or not, or you're not really sure right now, or you are a mother and you want to know what is the most important task, right? The most important thing I need to get done today. It's not just like this uh, single pronged idea as if it doesn't take into account the other things. Uh, that is why the most important thing, you want to feel inspired. You want clarity on the most important thing because you want it to feel inspired. And clarity will allow for that inspiration to hit. So when you do have the time, when you do make the time, because as a mom, time is not promised with your endeavors. You could have calls scheduled all day and the baby's homesick that day. And so, it's you, right? Are you the default parent in that regard? And what is the distribution of labor in your household to the point where, are you the one, called to pick up the child? And did you sign up for that? Is that how you want it to be? Me personally, yeah, I wanted to be the one that was called. I want to be the default parent. Now, is it difficult to be the default parent all the time for everything? Sure, absolutely. It's a lot. It's a lot. And yet I still wouldn't have it any other way. Now, I would say my time management is definitely a control issue. because I want to control the outcomes. I want to control the happiness, right, of my kids. I want to make sure they're happy. And that is something that I've had to work on reducing, because well, control, if you've read my book The Declutter Code, then you know that control is a sign of clutter. It's cluttering your world, trying to control things, and make it so that they act respective to what you want from them, right? You want a predictable behavior so that you can get by and feel okay about yourself, but it's so not that, right? Not only is that child a mirror for you, like here to remind you that, whoa, they are just like you, and what would you need in this moment right now as a kid, a 5-year-old kid, what would you need right now from your parent, and to give that, right? Because what we give, we receive. What we give in any moment is what we open ourselves to then receive, right? Because like Marianne Williamson said in A Return to Love, what you aren't experiencing in a situation is what you're not giving. So what you're not experiencing in the situation of in motherhood or entrepreneurship, in your finances or in your romance, like what you're not giving is why you feel there's the lack of it, right? And so that then extends to this idea of lack mindset and scarcity mindset. And it all breaks down. It comes back to clarity. It comes back to clarity of mind, right? And knowing when you have your instincts start to move you in the direction of your greatest dreams being realized, right? As Neville Goddard says, to act in the wish fulfilled, that state of mind, that state of being is absolutely first a thought, right? We have to not only visualize, but we've got to make it a thought, right? We have to put it in thought form so that it becomes a belief that can produce a behavior that starts to move us in the direction of our goals. And I would say this, when you have clarity and you take action on that clarity, that is how you quadruple your results. It's called the 80-20 rule. It's like taking action on that thing. There's something I do called the 80-20 audit. And we look at everything that you're doing so that we can ultimately minimize it down to the single most important thing. Because what I want for you is to focus on that single most important thing, right? Do what matters most in business and in life so that you can, yeah, absolutely go back to being a mom, go back to moving through some of the challenges there, or moving through some of the paperwork there, like enrolling your kids in school and doing all the endless amounts of paperwork and forms for the doctor and the physical and all the appointments, and keeping track of the extracurriculars and everything that they need on a given basis, on a daily basis, um, down to your shopping list, right, for your groceries. And so definitely the mental load is massive. And still, we get to reduce it. We get to let only the big things be the big things, and everything else can find its place, right? And we can make that feel how we want it to feel. If you want to discuss your circumstances, or your maybe your scarcity mindset, or how you might be looking at things, your business, your finances, your relationships at home, your mothering journey. If you want to discuss any of that, we can do a clarity intensive. But I would definitely recommend just hopping on a call with me. We can discuss all that. Ultimately, we'll get to the most important task you need to do in your business right now. We'll go through the MIT. I'll put the link in the chat. Actually, right now, let me grab that so that you can apply to get on my calendar. Hold on, let me move this. Probably should have had this taken care of already, right? As I'm getting this. Hold on, let me just focus. Okay, here we go. Yes, I knew it would be easy if I focused on it. This is one of the things, I mean, honestly, this is one of the things that, unless we realize what the most important thing is, we start to do too much. How many times am I trying to go out the door and I think of, oh, let me also do this, let me also do that. And then you start forgetting things because you're trying to do too much. But trusting yourself, and it is this button. No, this is the button I need. The link. Yes. Trying to do too much and then finding that, oh, yeah, I there's our link, and let me share it inside of YouTube. It does come down to, just like in baby brain, focusing on the single most important thing. Okay. All right. So everybody's got the link to get on my calendar for like a little clarity chat. We're going to get clear on the most important thing for you in your business. And in your life. I mean, we could definitely talk about anything. Like I said, 360-degree clarity isn't just clarity in your business, it's clarity really for life. And everything starts to just hinge on itself. You can't be happy at home and not have that seep into your excitement in your business. And then you can't have the stress of your business not seep into your life at home, right? They are going to always have this ebb and flow that just kind of creeps into each other because you are the common denominator. You are going into all those spaces, showing up as the best you can. And if you're depleted and depressed, it's not going to necessarily look how you wished it would, right? In business with your clients, when you're on a call with clients, it's going to look differently. And so that actually brings me to an important point. Who is the mastermind for? So the mastermind for entrepreneur moms is for the entrepreneur mom. You could also be an aspiring mom. We've had that in the past. So aspiring moms who kind of know they want to get the structure and the balance in place before baby comes. They know they're in family planning right now. They know they are going to start a family and they want to make sure that the business is really sustainable before that happens. And then also you've got on the flip side the mom who is starting a business, or a mom who had a business and is trying to reorganize, restructure, maybe redelegate some things so that you aren't. For me, I leaned out my team a lot after kids. I leaned out my team a lot because I needed purview on everything again. I kind of needed to sit with what I wanted the business to start to look like, and how I wanted it to look, how I wanted it to support me being a mom ultimately. And so I did. I needed to go back to the basics and keep the people that definitely, served the businesses functioning. But that was few. That was two. And right, keep those people on, and they kind of helped me retool and reorganize, reshape the business. But ultimately, it was my vision. It was me letting go of some team and some tech so that I could re-envision, reimagine what I wanted my business to be. So if you're in that place, it's a great mastermind for you too. Um, and then, like, if you're just wanting to start a business and you want it to be simple and sustainable, and really to know that you're not doing this only to waste time, right? Because time is of the essence as a mom. I mean, the kids are only getting older, right? You want to capitalize on all the moments that you have. You want to be as present as you can, and share in those core memories as much as you can. And you want to soak up the moments as much as you can. So time is of the essence, and you're starting a business because you want the money to start rolling in so that it does provide you the means to do for your kids, right? Make a home, make a life, and build a legacy. So, and I think legacy is very different than just building a business, because legacy does factor it all in, factor you having it all, you having all the experiences that you want at any stage of life, at any season of motherhood. You are going to want different things. As the kids start to age into grade school and they're going off to school, and I'm still kind of wrestling with that. Am I homeschooling my kids? Am I sending them to school? And how will that look? So I'm I'm sitting with that and kind of processing what that could look like. And I've got big dreams for that as well. So, I get to sit and cast a vision for that life, that next iteration. Right now, we're just in kinder and preschool. So we're just, um, we're doing it. We're doing things together. We're definitely building our lives. And yeah, so as you get into these different stages of business and seasons of motherhood, things are going to demand of you differently. And so you want to build a business model really that doesn't require you 24/7. You want to be able to go to the park on a whim and still have Stripe notifications hit your inbox because you're making sales while you sit on the grass with your babies and count looking at clouds floating by and looking at insects and watching your sons stomp on every single one because they just I don't know. The lesson of not killing insects or stomping on bugs has escaped my my boys for now. And then you think like, oh no, what if they do this, what next? Why would they kill this precious little snail? Um, I'm sure it's not. These are another thing that the mom group is good for, noticing that, I'm way in I'm projecting too much because first and foremost, what is important is to see your kids doing well, right? See your kids just going through the motions of life. And I know I've stomped on several bugs in my lifetime. So just because, I'm watching this innocent soul do it doesn't mean it's not just out of curiosity, right? And discovery and in the name of science. But anyway, ultimately we want to we want to cast a vision for our kids too, not at the level of control, but at the height of freedom. And this is where clarity also is involved, right? Seeing that vision for themselves. I know I want my sons to be healthy, happy, whole, have good hygiene, have good sense of humor, or just throwing all the H's out. I want all that for my boys. I know I want those things, right? And so I know that the way I'm moving through the world while they watch me move through the world, it's underlining those values that I have for them and for us ultimately, right? They're watching me model that behavior that, hey, these are all important things to me. And I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to watch you do it on your own. I'm going to do it again with you. If I saw that maybe there was something a little bit off, I'm going to do it again with you, alongside you. And then I'm going to trust that you've got what you need to take it on and take it further. And that happens at every ounce of every bit of development. So you think that's just taking a bath and that's one lesson? No, there's soap. It's learning how soap works. It's learning how water works. It's learning why the two combined help clean your body. And then there's also the action of cleaning your body, right? There's the nuances abound with motherhood. I call it a deeper side of business when it comes to business. When we look at business at that depth, that level of curiosity and intrigue and introspection, there's a deeper side of business. It's not just the stress and the struggle and the finances that you've got to get in order. There's so much more to it that when you get to the root of why you're doing business, what is it all for? It makes it that much more meaningful. And I think that is ultimately the missing piece. What we are missing as mothers is that why, right? Not the why of our purpose in life, but like the why that connects us to why we're here. Not only like in exerting, right? There's a purpose. There's a purpose in and how it shows up in your behavior, right? How you kind of move along that purpose, but there's also like this deeper sense of meaning and walking in the direction of enlightenment. And yeah, when we reverse engineer how we get anywhere and we start with that level of clarity, then everything feels good. And then we start to go with our own flow. We build out our own flow, our own family's flow. And then from there, it's kind of like this resonance of just moving through the world like nature moves in the world. And recognizing that you can establish that flow. And what resistance you might be feeling right now in establishing your own flow in this new normal of as in life as a mom and an entrepreneur, in establishing that new flow, it's going against maybe the flow you had before. And so it's going against other people's flow. It's going against your partner's flow and what they envision for your life as a mother, as a spouse, right? As a shareholder in the finances, what you're bringing to the table, right? Your contribution to all of this. It's very mechanical. It's very masculine because it definitely is contractual, right? It's transactional when you look at kind of what marriage has done to the family unit, or I guess not even just marriage, but like the American dream, a house, um, because we had that. I had that. The American dream. It was by, two lovers love and fall in love and live a life of just gallivanting and frolicking in the wind and skipping along and enjoying life and then buying or getting married. What's the order I did it in? Getting married, having the baby, buying the house big enough for your family, and planning the next one and planning the next one if you want to keep going. Right, the that kind of quintessential American dream, and how that is all still very transactional. Because there is kind of this status, there's this flow of capitalism, and I'm throwing it out there. I'm being as controversial as I can here. Just kidding. No, I don't subscribe, but this kind of like this flow of capitalism and how it really has capsized the family unit and probably broken up quite a few villages along the way. I lived away from my family for a long time as we started our lives, my husband and I, and found that I was in need of a village because I thought, you could do it all alone. No, you want support. And in fact, dare I say, you need it as a mother. And not only as a mother, but as a human being, as an entrepreneur, as somebody braving the elements, pioneering new roads toward, your dreams. And here's the good thing, right? We've got the North Star. We've got at night a way to recalibrate, course correct according to what is right for us, what's aligned toward our vision. And that's where we want to be. Because our vision in this framework of our bodies and ourselves, there's only our perception of what is true and real. No one else can tell you different if you don't believe it, right? And until you believe what they believe, you don't have um, the chemistry, right? That would connect you on this path. You'd just be acquaintances and you'd keep it moving, right? But the chemistry of that similar bond, unites you. And that's also a flow, right? Just how your lives intertwine. And it doesn't mean, you're in it forever, right? That level of intimacy doesn't mean you're in it. Even, divorced parents are able to maintain the chemistry necessary for the kids to experience a rich home life. As I think, as ugly as like 80s and 90s babies probably feel like divorce is, I come from that kind of household, not only a Brady Bunch, but a divorced Brady Bunch situation. And it was messy growing up in that. And so you kind of think, oh, well, for me, it was this is the cycle divorce now that I am divorcing? Is the cycle divorce, or is the cycle that I'm breaking about how we respond to it and how we all can still thrive in spite of a new direction? And this is all part of building a life, right? Not only a business, but a life. And it's first life and then it's business. It's first building a life and then it's how the business supports you in living out the life that you want. And so every action, it's kind of like you can think of the ladder to this beautiful sunrise, and you're just going toward it, and that is what calls to you. That's your North Star, that's your vision. And so you're at any point, as long as you're tapping back into clarity, everything you collect yourself, right? At every fork in the road, you're collecting yourself and you're moving with only what matters, with only what's important, not the clutter that weighs you down, but with only what's important all the way to your vision realized. And believe it or not, that can be sooner than you think. You can close that gap of you wanting it all and having it all as soon as you sit down and close your eyes, right? In that moment, and in a heartbeat, you can have that. Yes, I am. I can answer questions. Okay, so we've got a question from Patricia. If you're open to answering, what led you to divorce? So there was there was an agreed upon deal breaker for us both. And without saying what happened, because I do want to protect my kids and what they know. And I don't want to put out into the world more than what they know and what they need to know. And I think as we get older, that'll totally not be my concern, because we'll have established some kind of dialogue around that when they're cognitive enough to kind of understand uh, the levels of that. But to say it in a nutshell, we met the straw that broke the camel's back. And it felt like it was coming for some days, that we were just on different wavelengths, different pages for our lives. My mentor right now, my coach, who I've hired to totally elevate everything in my life, and she's just bringing me out of my shell in so many ways. She said that her and her husband divorced, and they had two kids, and like me. And so, I felt like, okay, this resonates. That they had kind of just discussed this idea of like, are we even going in the same direction? Do we want the same things? Is this a marriage that you want? And the answer was no, a mutually agreed upon no. I can't say that my divorce is entirely mutual at this point, but it definitely is agreed upon. And like I said, I think it was coming. And they say like the woman knows before the man knows. I just think it's because, we as women, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And we want to show up, especially when you enter motherhood. I'm going to speak for that. When you enter motherhood, it's kind of like you recognize like the weaknesses. And if it's not helping you be the mother you want to be, that's what has to give. Something right in that relationship of me showing up has to give. And yeah, so I think what ultimately matters, if you read anything from John Gottman, like what ultimately matters is that the kids see the parents getting along. I think that's really, really important. The kids seeing the parents get along, and um, and even deeper than getting along and being friends and not fighting in front of them to further traumatize and uh, I guess be witness to the destruction of their family unit by fighting in front of them, and therefore feeling very unsafe and vulnerable in this world because, oh man, my family can't even get along. There's a lot of big T trauma in that. If we're going to go that route, we don't even have to go that route if that's not a belief you subscribe to. It's one I'm definitely phasing out myself. But anyway, like if you think of that, right, these impressionable years, and these precious impressionable minds, you want them to be exposed to the things that only uplift and encourage and build in the resilience necessary for life, because you've been through it, right? And so you just want a little bit better for them. And so you're kind of putting in the things necessary to have it be a little bit better for them. And for me, it's being friends with their father and having a good relationship with him, because what I believe, even underneath all that, what Gottman talks about and everything, even underneath all that, there is them coming into their understanding of themselves. And here are two people that came together and had me. And one day I'm going to recognize in myself a lot of traits in both of them. And if they can't even get along, huh, I'm definitely going to struggle within myself. I'm going to have inner turmoil. I'm going to have this dialogue and this constant battle from within, fighting myself, because I never saw it. I never saw it um, modeled that I can like myself. I can like this part of me. And so I definitely want to not leave that impression that, oh, if you're like your father, oh, just like your father. If you're like your father in this regard, then, I just can't deal with you. And I see so much of me and my kids. And there is the trick. If you're struggling with, you know, um, if you're struggling with pointing fingers and blaming the other party in the mix involved, the quickest way out of that is to recognize all of the traits you see in yourself, because it will give you some insight into how to help them deal with it in themselves. And while you're going through this total metamorphosis, witnessing yourself in this child and how to nurture that, right? The light within, that's what we're efforting toward, right? To nurture that light within them. So it never goes out. Does it have to go out? I don't want it to ever go out. But in an effort to nurture that for as long as you have them under your roof and they're willing to listen, nurture that light. Then part of that, right, as you're going through, like, how can I show up here? What do they need from me right now? Sometimes it's silence. Honestly, sometimes it's silence from you. But you recognizing all that and how it's showing up and how it's acting out in the tantrums, in the refusal to eat, in the I don't want to be at school right now, or I don't want to learn to read, or oh, I'm stupid, oh, this stupid that, or I hate this, I hate that. I mean, you are 5 years old, you are too young to hate. And you see really quickly how the environments therein shape that self-talk, right? And this is your opportunity to help shape that self-talk, or at least give them another perspective so that they're not left with only that one. I think that's why homeschooling is so intriguing to me, because I can just kind of observe, be available for any time that I could offer some 2 cents, not um, offer some 2 cents to them without bogarting their lives. I had one person comment on a post I did on social saying that I sound like an or was it overbearing or just overbearing helicopter parent, and that I need to let my kids become independent, or, yeah, let them be independent. And you never know what phase of motherhood anybody who's commenting is. And it varies at different times. It varies when you have littles at home. It varies when you have teenagers at home. It varies when you're an empty nester. It's going to feel different, right? The perspective, the hindsight, the 2020 vision, right, on it all, right? From this very matriarchal perspective, you see, right, what is happening. I do believe that mothers can spot kind of the things when they tip, right, into new directions. I think we can spot it, especially when we're present to it and we want to be available to witness, just to be aware, so that when and if you need to remind them of one thing way back when that might help them today, you can, right? There's very much this kind of awareness about how you can kind of usher those life lessons. But so she commented, or she or he, I think it's a she, commented like, oh, just let them be independent. And I am recognizing that right now in the in the growth around this kind of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there is kind of the opportunities to allow for more independence, right? It's kind of like, oh, my work here is done with regards to, this particular area of life. Oh, they got that. Okay, you got this. And you move on to the next thing. Oh, okay, you got this. And never at any point will you feel like you got it all. I remember when I was heading off to college, my mom saying, "I'm not done with you yet." And I was like, peace. I'm ready to go. My mom's great. But no, she was like, "I'm not done with you." And I could totally resonate already. My kids aren't even in college. Oh, I can already resonate. Okay, so I think we're good. I think we're good on time. Let me just check back in if there are any more questions. Yeah, YouTube has its own way of delivering chat and details, and it's sometimes behind a few walls. And so I've got a couple screens open here, and I want to get back to my note. Okay, so just to kind of bring us back to, if you want to there's a clarity intensive, but let's focus ourselves on just coming on a free call with me and chatting about where you might want clarity with regards to your life as both entrepreneur and mom. And I would say, this is definitely a labor of love of mine. This mastermind is different than masterminds before it. And because I'm holding space in different ways, and it's a beautiful thing. It's exactly as felt prescribed by God. I'm a channel for creating this environment for other entrepreneur moms. So it's a labor of love, born last year. So it's a baby. It's another baby of mine. Um, but yeah, I'm just really happy. So cohort 2026 B is opening up. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we can hop on a call. Like I said, it is by application first. So I just want to hear about you. Just tell me a little bit about you. Ultimately, what you want to do, what do you want to get out of maybe working with me? So that way I can help tailor that call, because ultimately you will be walking away from our little 25-minute call. You could walk away with clarity on your most important thing. And if you haven't already kind of tapped into that, I believe right? And sometimes there's just the resistance in the action, because what feels very logical, and you haven't yet taken it on and identified as that next level self, right? Who has it, who is holding all that she wants. You haven't identified, you haven't stepped in, but you kind of know what right? You know what you have to do, you know what you should do. You know that this makes sense if it were to happen, but you're not really sure how to kind of like step into the being of it, right? It's one thing to know it, it's another to be it. And so you can walk away from the call with at least kind of that level of clarity if you haven't already gotten it on this call. You probably did get some insight into, yourself and what you want, and what feels the most inspired next step to take. So I'll put the link in the chat. It's already there. It's already there on Zoom. On YouTube, I'm going to put it. Oh, thank you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Thank you for coming on. YouTube, I'm going to have to put it in the description, because there's no way to put it in the chat. At least I'm not seeing how I'm able to even reply to some of what I'm seeing here. So thank you for coming on live, everybody. And I'll put in the description everything you need in YouTube. That will be our replay as well. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. This was great. Thank you for coming on. And I would say this. One thing I do see coming in the near future is the call may or may not be with me. Okay. So I'm just throwing that out there. If there is a desire in you, you're not really sure about the mastermind, it's not really about that, but maybe you just want to kind of chat. Because here's where the support comes in. Here's where feeling like you're not alone comes in. I am opening my calendar for you. Okay, for that. So just hop on a call with me. I'm not really sure how much longer I will be available for the calls that come from the application for a clarity launch call, as I call them, this clarity launch call, or learning more about the mastermind. Okay, so I'm just, full disclosure, letting you know that if you want to chat with me personally, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. I'd welcome it. I've opened my calendar for you. I want you to know, truly, honestly, I have, and now would be the time. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Peace. All right, Zoom.